From Puerto Rico, I flew to the rapidly expanding beach resort of Punta Cana in the Dominican Republic, which occupies about 2/3 of the island of Hispaniola. I only had about 5 days there, which was not nearly enough to see very much. From the airport at Punta Cana, I had to take a rather expensive taxi to El Macao, where I stayed at the El Macao Beach Resort, not exactly on the beach, but rather a 10-minute walk away. It was a good value little place, with a dormitory, perfect for me, a restaurant, and most important of all, a garden with lots of birds. The most common and easily seen bird in the garden was the palm chat. This species is endemic to the island of Hispaniola, which means it's found there and nowhere else in the whole world. A couple of Dutch bird watchers had come mainly to see Hispaniolan endemics, and this is the first one they saw, even at the airport as they left their plane. They're usually found on palm fruits, and although these were present nearby in the garden, they seem to prefer to spend their time on this bare tree. However, what I did see eating palm fruits was this Hispaniolan woodpecker, another island endemic. Just behind the beach was a tiny patch of forest, and I spent my time there looking for insects and spiders. Sometimes you just get lucky, as when I found this male Lukauji spider on the right, busily courting a female, the fatter one on the left. He's tweaking the web, trying to make her aware that he's a male, not a meal. But this time she's not having it, and she rushes off to one side and sits there. He doesn't give up. A few minutes later, he comes back for another go. Gradually inches forward. She's still interested, she's not moving away. Closer and closer. And he's done it. She's accepted him. And now he's fully mating, which lasted for a few minutes. Much to the interest of a group of 3 local guys who were standing around, chatting away, and fascinated about what I'd seen. The local architecture was sometimes slightly quirky, the locals being obliged to use whatever materials came to hand. Playing dominoes is a really popular pastime in the Dominican Republic, often taking place at tables out in the street, although here it's in a restaurant. Here's my own tasty evening meal being served. Mashed potatoes, fried eggs and stew. From El Macao, I went by bus to here, the bus station in Santo Domingo, and on to Jarabacoa. From Jarabacoa, I headed to the Sonido del Yaque community tourism project, down here in this valley. The valley used to be wooded, but as you can see, most of the trees have now been felled, and there's a lot of bare slopes. It's a short but steep walk from this roadside sign down to the hostel in the valley. During my 3-night stay, I was the only guest there. This is my dormitory on the right, and in front of the dormitory a nice flowery garden, and to one side of that a very noisy river. This is the kitchen where my 3 daily meals were prepared, and very varied and tasty they were too. This Mayo anole lizard, displaying to a rival, is yet another example of an animal that is endemic to Hispaniola. By contrast, this newly hatched zebra butterfly is a common species found throughout Central and South America and much of the Caribbean. Here we're looking at a close-up of its tail end, which bears a blue spot making a false head. This is designed to attract the attention of predators away from the genuine head, and therefore less damage is caused because it can easily fly away with its tail end missing. Down beside the river, dragonflies were fairly abundant. On a cliff directly above the water, I found 7 nests of these Polistes paper wasps. The wasp on the right is chewing up part of the caterpillar, ready to be fed to the larvae, which are in the cells to the left. Here, food is being passed to the larvae by the worker wasps. When a wasp from a nearby nest mistakenly tries to land, it's driven away. On a rather smaller nest close by, a fully grown larva is beginning to spin the silken cap to its cell. Silk issues forth from the larva's mouthparts as it steadily works around the cell. An hour or so later, the white silk cap is beginning to take shape and the pupa can be formed within. Growing on a flat area beside the river was a group of cassia flowers, and these attracted the attention of an apricot sulphur butterfly, quickly laying eggs one at a time on the cassia flowers. More than 3,000 species of plants are endemic to the Dominican Republic. Maybe this is one of them, I don't know. After this short visit, I returned to the capital, Santo Domingo, but this time I spent a couple of nights. This is Island Life Backpackers, a superb place built from a semi-ruin by its British owner. I spent my one and only day in Santo Domingo, strolling around, looking at some of the attractive old colonial buildings, the backpackers being situated on the edge of it. The only street art I saw wasn't on the buildings, but on the electricity posts. The cathedral is the oldest still standing in the Western Hemisphere. And so, after all too brief a visit to the Dominican Republic, it was onward to Santiago de Cuba.